it's Jazz at Red Panda Reads and welcome to my 2022 pile of possibilities. Yes, it is almost 2022 and I have a number of books that I have accumulated this year that I haven't read, but I really am excited to, but for whatever reason I just haven't got round to doing it. So today I wanted to share with you those books and kind of say to myself that I can't buy any more books for myself. I can be gifted it, it's fine. I'm very welcome to take gifts in the form of books, but I cannot buy any books until I have read these 10. So the first book is actually one I got gifted for Christmas and was a complete surprise. It arrived yesterday and it actually inspired me to do this video because I am so excited to read it, and it's as if the people who gifted it to me had read my mind, because I had just read The House on the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune and had absolutely adored it. It's a found family magical orphanage story about love, about acceptance, and it was just like having a nice cozy warm hug, which is what you need at Christmas. And I've been looking for other books by that author, and then this arrived at my door. Under the Whispering Door arrived at my door, and I am so excited. The magic that TJ Klune weaves in their writing is just mesmerising. And this book, from reading the blurb, looks like it's about a person who dies before he's ready to die, and he doesn't want to cross over to the afterlife. And someone helps him on that journey of kind of realising and accepting what's happening and moving on. And the people who sent it to me said it was one of their favourite books this year. And I really want to thank Mickey and Maynard for the book if you are watching this, and I can't wait to read it. So the next book is the one other book I got gifted for Christmas. I held back on my book gifting this year. And again, this is a complete surprise, but weirdly, I had voted on this book to read for my book club, but it hadn't won. We're reading The Vanishing Half instead. But again, it's as if someone knew that I wanted to read this, and that is the Manningtree Witches. So this is some historical fiction set in England in 1643, where there is a town which is basically run by women because all the men have gone off to fight in a civil war. And then a man comes into their ranks and starts pointing fingers because, of course, the way to suppress women is to accuse them of being witches. And I'm really excited for this. I loved The Familiars earlier this year that I read, which was by Stacey Halls, I believe, and that was a historical fiction about witchcraft in England. And similar to that, I really like the theme, and I'm excited to read it because living in England, it kind of links me to that historical. I'm very intrigued about it, so very much excited to read this. So next up is another gift from, I've had this book for about 4 or 5 months now, and the only reason I haven't read it is I've heard it's quite heavy hitting, and I've wanted to be in a better place mentally before I picked it up. And I'm getting there, and that book is Homegoing by Yaya Gayassi. I'm really sorry, I should have checked how to pronounce that before I started this video. But this book is about two sisters in North America, one who is a slave and one who is a slave trader's wife. And it explores the kind of relationship, I believe, between those two women and the different lives they end up having. And it says on the back it's a heartbreaking story of a family and the lives of those living in America. And I'm super interested to read this again. Reading about the history of the slave trade and knowing about the horrors that were committed, I think is really important, especially living in Bristol, where there was such a horrific slave trading going on. Although this isn't set in the UK, it's still very relevant, and I think is going to be a really eye-opening and important read. So that is an exciting read for this year. Next, I've got one which is a translated fiction called Eleanor Nose, and it's by Claudia Pinheiro, and what I'm really excited about this, and this is going to sound really, really silly, is I watched that BBC series like Race Around the World set in South America. And since watching that, I have been really interested about South America, both in terms of its culture and also just its phenomenal landscapes. And this book is about an elderly lady whose daughter is murdered, and she goes on a journey across South America. So she treks across Buenos Aires to basically find out what actually happened to her daughter and to kind of reflect on her relationship with her daughter. And I am so excited to read this. I also hope you can't hear the person putting glass in the bins outside, because otherwise that has just ruined my whole video. Anyway, this, so excited to read. Don't know why I haven't yet, but yeah, looks like a complete gem. Another one not set in the UK, which again, or America, which is well, North America, which is really nice. This story, The Story of a Goat by Perumal Marugan. I feel really embarrassed. I feel embarrassed that I haven't looked up the pronunciations before. I will put them there. But The Story of the Goat is set in India, and it's about the runt of a litter basically gets taken in by a family. And what is so exciting about this book is, yes, it's a story of a goat, but it's so much more than that. This story says it's deeply rooted in the rhythms of life in rural India, and that it is a heartwarming fable about social hierarchy, colour, and is basically written by a world-class storyteller. So, wow, is that the noise a goat makes? Why did I just... I'm excited to read this. Can you tell? So let's go on to the next book now, and that book is by Catherine Lacey, and it's called Pew. And this book is about a village who find a person sleeping in the pew of the church, and nothing is known about this person, and they just get called Pew. And the book basically, I think, explores what happens to the community when Pew arrives and how it's completely, I believe, ripped apart. And that's all I know. Am I excited? Yes. Is this like cover kind of haunting? Yes. Do I like the little birds on it? Yes. Should I read it soon? Yes. So next up is a book I'm currently borrowing from a friend, and that is Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca. And for one thing, again, beautiful cover. I seem to have a very orange, red and yellow kind of theme with my books at the moment, which I love. And this is apparently a phenomenal classic that I just haven't picked up. And honestly, I don't know much about it. I think it's about love. I think it's about identity, apparently. So I don't know much about it, which seems a little bit ridiculous for a classic, but I've heard fantastic things and I cannot wait to read this. So I am very appreciative of Amy for gifting it to me. So the other book that Amy lent me for a while is The Power by Naomi Alderman, which is a book I kind of dystopian book where women can basically rule the world because they have power over men. I think they can make them feel pain and all sorts. And it basically looks at what would happen hypothetically if women were to rule the world. My mum really struggled with this book. I believe she didn't particularly like it, but I'm quite interested to see how this is done and where it takes us and how kind of the world would look if we were in power. Okay, now are 3 books that you will probably recognise from my Christmas haul last year that I haven't got around to reading, but I want to. And there's many reasons for not wanting to read a book. I'm very much a mood reader, and I go through like a month of like reading a book every day, and then I go through a month of barely reading. It just depends how I'm feeling. And these 3 books, first of all, Girl, Woman, Other. What can I say? It speaks for itself. Heard it's an absolutely fabulous book. Each chapter tells follows 3 different women, a mother, a daughter and another character, and basically explores their relationships and their lives. So excited for that. We then had The Master and Margarita, and this is a novel written about a Russian author, and I think has very interesting commentary on politics and I believe communism. I've heard it's weird, I've heard it's fabulous, I need to read. And the final book is considered, I believe, like a science fiction fantasy book and has a really interesting take on gender. And Rob actually brought me this book, and it's The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. And it's about 2 strangers who end up on a journey across an icy landscape together. And what they have in common is curiosity about others and themselves, and almost unshakable belief that the world can be a better place. And they journey for 800 miles across the harshest, most inhospitable landscapes. They discover the true meaning of friendship and love. It sounds superb. It sounds a book that is going to kind of stay with me, which I think is really important for a book, a one that you can go away from for a week or 2 weeks and then not be able to stop thinking about. And really all the books I've talked about have that air to them. Some of them are slightly more serious of nature, which is probably one of the reasons why I haven't been reaching to them at the moment. But there's a great array here of different different genres, different cultures for me to explore, and I just can't wait to dive in. So let's dive into 2022 on a high. I hope you all have a fantastic reading year ahead. Just kind of on a more serious note, I have had such a difficult last 6 months for reasons I'm not going to go into, and I realise I'm not the only one, and the world is sometimes really difficult, but it will get better. There will be times that are hard, there will be times that will be better, but you are cared about, you are beautiful, you are loved, and just remember that, okay? Whenever you're feeling in a dark place, just remember that you are valued by so many people, including me, because you are a person who deserves love and happiness, and it will be better. It will be. So have a amazing 2022, everyone, and I look forward to doing more videos in the new year. Bye bye.